All right, today we're going to take a look at PowerPoint. And this is Unit 1, and I'd say between you and me, but I'm recording this, so I guess it's not between you and me. This one's pretty simple. This, to me, is not the power of PowerPoint. Most of you could figure this stuff out with a little bit of guidance on your own. That's what we're scheduled to do. It's in Blackboard, tough to pull it out. Bob wants to do it, so we're going to keep going. Make sure you at least have these foundations solid. Shouldn't take me too long, hour, maybe a little bit more to go through the process to make sure you all do understand these things. But what I want to offer to you next week is the opportunity to learn the cool stuff in PowerPoint. The transitions, the activity, actions, I believe they're called, that make things move inside the slide and flip around and fly off the page and do all those cool things. That's the fun part of PowerPoint, and it's not covered until the second half of Unit 2. So next week I'll talk about that briefly, but I think I'm going to take Bob's advice and just have you go through the chapter. If you come next week, you have to do it in class. Can't email me this one. All right. If you come next week, go through the chapter, show me the PowerPoint with all its actions and transitions and things in it. I'll give you an extra 50 points. And that's an extra credit. It goes on to a 0-point assignment, so it just adds 50 points to your total score, and the grand total doesn't change. It's optional. You can always read it on your own and not come in next week, but that gives me a justification for getting paid for coming in next week and gives you an opportunity to improve your score a little bit if that's what you need to do. Questions about that? Okay. Then to start today, let's start a brand new PowerPoint from scratch. So if you've downloaded Citrix, you should see PowerPoint 2013 on your start menu. If you don't see it there, in my case, on my machine, I'm not using Citrix, so I have to go to the start menu and all programs, and Microsoft Office 13 should be hiding in there. So make sure you're using PowerPoint 2013. Microsoft products to create a blank presentation, a blank document, a blank database, whatever. Click the blank presentation option, maybe a double click to get it to load. This is a blank PowerPoint presentation. It starts off with just a title slide. And really, before we go too much further, there is one other thing I want to do, and that's grab into the book here. And let's see if I can grab it up here. I'm going to pause the recording again for just a second. It's taken just a little too long to get my book up. And on the very first couple of pages of the PowerPoint chapter, and this is the last time I'm going to refer to the book, the author does give you some really good advice on how to prepare for a presentation. Making PowerPoints is the easy part, right? Giving the presentation, that's a whole different story. And many of you in your oral comm classes, and your systems classes, and your networking classes, and your PC security classes, lots of classes, you're going to have to do presentations. And the PowerPoints can be nice support material, but that's one of the things that many students make a mistake of, is they use PowerPoint as their entire text. Don't want to do that. PowerPoint is supposed to be your crutch in a way to help you remember the main topics that you want to talk about, but you still have to be very familiar with those main topics. In the real world, when you get out into the employment force, somebody asks you to do a presentation. It's not going to be on some topic off the top of their head that you're not familiar with. It's going to be on the project that you're working on the team that you're working on something that you're very familiar with. And so PowerPoint's purpose is to help you remember the major points that you want to talk about. Everything else should already be inside your head, and you probably won't have to worry about it. But do remember who, and this is, I'm kind of following along that checklist on the first couple pages in the book. Remember who your audience is. Especially us IT people and accountants tend to speak our language, nurses. We all have our own languages, and we tend to speak those, and if you're talking to a general audience, they won't know what the heck you're talking about. So you have to, I don't want to say dumb it down, but you have to take the technology out of it to make sure that everybody can understand what you're talking about. On the other hand, if the audience is more of your peers, then you sound like an idiot if you're dumbing everything down, and you want to make sure you do talk their language, so consider that. Again, PowerPoint has the main points in it and maybe a few tips on the side. What you don't want is for your presentation to be distracting. Your purpose of doing the presentation is, in general, to inform somebody. And if your PowerPoint's distracting them, that's not doing you any good because they're not listening to you, and you're the one who's got most of the stuff that they need to hear. Shouldn't be on your PowerPoint slides. I'm not a big fan of media. If it supports your presentation to show a YouTube video, do it. But in general, I think they distract. But if it's supportive, PowerPoint has some very powerful features for bringing media in. That's something you'll learn in that second part next week if you decide to do it. A big one is time. It's always amazing to me how many people are given 35 minutes on the agenda and 55 minutes later they're still going strong. Screwing up the whole agenda, and the next person now has to finish their talk in 15 minutes, or the whole day goes long and you're still there at 8:30 at night. If you're given 35 minutes, plan your presentation for 30 minutes. Or the very most 35. What I've discovered is when you do the live presentation, it tends to go a little quicker because you're a little nervous, so you speak a little faster. But time's a big factor, and PowerPoint can help you with that. There are people who buy extra timers to put into PowerPoint. It sits up in the screen so that you can see what's going on. I wouldn't be surprised if PowerPoint's got one built in, so that you can see the time and you can write little time notes on the slides so that you know that when I get to this slide, it should be about 11 minutes. And if it's at 12, you're already behind. You can help manage your presentation that way. Seen a lot of people take slides out. Well, this wasn't important anyways. This wasn't important anyways. I'm running out of time. If it wasn't important, why'd you put it in the slideshow in the first place? It probably was, but you just decided that it's least important, or at least given the time crunch, not worth it. So be very considerate about that. Excuse me. And also consider handouts. Do you want to give handouts to your audience? Today you're going to learn how to print your PowerPoint slides as handouts. Is that something you want to give to them so they can take notes? Do you want to give them the entire PowerPoint presentation? Of course, I just said the magic dirty word print. I'm not a big fan of it anymore. Most people today will put their PowerPoint presentation in a public folder on OneDrive, in a public folder on Dropbox, on their website, somewhere. So if people really want to go back and study your presentation and see some of the highlights, play the videos again, whatever, they just go to the website. Printed handout isn't going to play the videos anyways. It does give them a place to take notes, but that's about the only advantage of those handouts, so that's something to consider. All right, each one of these slides, when you create them, and PowerPoint has many different layouts for the slides up on the slides menu here on the ribbon, and of course PowerPoint has a ribbon like all the other programs, and you just got to try to remember where everything is. In the layout, you can see 9 of the different kinds of layouts that you can have. These are just pre-formatted, pre-laid out styles for your slides. The one that we're on right now is a title slide. Each one of these slide layouts, and we'll see many of them before we're done today, has different layouts that you can see, and then you can plug stuff into the placeholders. Now in this title slide, all there is placeholders. There's no pictures here because of the style that we're using. We can tweak the style here in just a minute as well. Right now we have a very boring style, but before we're too far in, we'll spruce it up a little bit. Each one of these placeholders, you can tell how difficult it is to fill the text into the placeholder because it says, click, done. We're supposed to put Valley Farms in there, so go ahead and just type some stuff. I promise not to make you type too much today. One of the files that's included in those files that you just downloaded for PowerPoint is this somewhere around page 8 with all the text already filled in without you having to type it. We're going to type minimal, but there are some concepts we have to get across, so you have to do a little bit of typing. You can create multiple lines here, press enter, press shift enter, but we're not going to. Now I want to put in the subtitle, so let's click on that. What is this bouncing all about here? Don't know. Oh, there it is. Cancel. Okay, in the subtitle, we want to put in freshest, comma, most delicious food. Freshest, comma, most delicious food, exclamation mark. And at this point, we've done a lot of work. It's a good time to take a break, or at least save. Andy's going, really? We take a break already? Save the thing. Let's save it. Like everything else, you get to designate where. Mine's on my desktop, so I'm going to make sure I put it there. Yours can go to your H drive, is probably a good place, or your USB drive, wherever you want to put it. And let's call it, what does it say? Membership info. You can put spaces in these file names like any other file names, whatever you want. You do not have to put the ppt1, that's the PowerPoint file, on the end of it. That'll happen automatically, so just type membership info. And once it's saved, you're back and ready to do some more slides. Like anything else, you can edit. So if we want to, we can click around here and edit in between. We can highlight, we can use cursor keys, we can do all the same stuff. Just as a quick demo, let's go in here and take out, I'm sorry, this was supposed to be falls here. So if we want to change that to falls, just use whatever editing techniques you would normally do. And in front of the freshest, we want to add the word the. So I'm going to take the capital F out. And if you, and type a space here real quick, but if you watch up there, I'm going to type TEH. As soon as I press space, the autocorrect kicks in, just like Microsoft Word, nothing too magical here. Then the little F, and I need to get rid of some space, the freshest food. But autocorrect works here. In the second half of the chapter, they talk about, I think it's this part of the chapter actually, they talk about smart art, they talk about putting pictures in and cropping them and rotating them, and sounds like Microsoft Word. A lot like Microsoft Word. That's why a lot of this should go very, very quickly today. To add new slides to your presentation, the first thing to do is to put your cursor on the slide that the new one is supposed to follow. This is the only place that I know of in Microsoft Office where we insert after. Every place else, you put your cursor here and it'll start inserting before. You put your cursor in a row in Excel, it inserts before. Every place else. But this is the one place in PowerPoint where you say insert a new slide, that it inserts after the current one. Now right now we only have one, so it's kind of hard to screw this up. But even if it puts it in the wrong place, don't worry about it. You'll see very soon here they're very easy to move around. To insert a new slide, we can just click on this big button. And if we click on the big button, we will get the default slide, which is one of two things. If you're just after the title slide like we are now, it'll be title and content. So let's just click on that. And so now we have a title and content style. Remember these different layouts? We have title and content now. That's by design. If you just say, give me a new one, and you don't specify, if you drop the list down, you can specify what type you want, including a few other things like duplicating slides. I don't do that very often, but you can. So if you don't want a title and content, you can pick one of the others. Once you have a slide style, like this one is title and content, if you insert a new one without picking from the list, it generates another one of this style. So once you start using title and content, it'll keep using them. If you move to slide number 2, that means we're going to insert after slide number 2, it'll take the style of that slide and duplicate it. So now we're up to 3 slides already. Now at the end, let's click on 3 because I've been moving around here. This time I want to add a 2 content slide. If I want to add something different, I have to choose the type. I can change this after the fact. But here's 2 content. It still comes with a title, but then it has a left part of the screen and a right part of the screen, placeholders for 2 different things over here. And while we're looking at them, I might as well talk about them. These placeholders allow you to insert special, by default you get text, but they allow you to insert special things like a table, like a chart, like smart art, like a picture, like online pictures and video. So if you want to insert one of those into your PowerPoint presentation, you just click those buttons, whichever one suits you, and it will give you then a dialog box to let you suck one of those things in. We'll do that here in a little while. The default for all of these slides is text. Let's add another slide using the big button. And notice that slide 5 is to content, just like the one we just did. If we wish, we can change it by going to Layout. Let's change slide number 5 to Title and Content. And you can even do this after it's got text. Though if you got text in 3 different columns and then you change it to 2 columns, be careful. You might get some strange results. But if it's got a title and it's got a little bit of text or a picture, you can still change its content style or its layout on the fly. My notes say add 3 more slides. I don't usually do this. I don't usually add a bunch of empty style or slides that are all the right layout and then start filling them in. I usually create a slide and then think about the next one and the next one as I make them and pick different layouts as I go. But so that we can rearrange them, we want a few extra slides here. So 1, 2, 3, let's add 3 more, and they're all going to be this type. 1, 2, 3 more slides, and now we have 8. The primary purpose of this is so that we can move them around, see them in different layouts, not because we're going to use them all. And actually, that was a waste. Any questions about creating slides? How it works? Okay, just save a little bit of typing. Close that. Don't even bother saving it. If you want to, knock yourself out. But in your PowerPoint 1 folder, you should see in the tutorial folder a Volcker PowerPoint 1 file. Double click it. And that'll open it up. Hopefully in PowerPoint 2013. If not, and I'll pause here, might as well pause the recording because mine's taking a little bit anyways. 3, to jump around, simply click on the slide. If you can't see it, scroll first. And all the slides are there. So you can easily jump back and forth and around here with these slides. Let's go to slide number 3. And we already talked about the icons for all the different stuff, but for right now, we want to type some bullets. So once again, you follow instructions. Click to add text. And the first bullet we want to add is share of pre-selected produce. This PowerPoint's about a place that does time shares with a farm, not time shares, but product sharing with a farm, co-op type of thing. Notice as soon as we start typing all the placeholders, the icons go away because now that you've said I'm making a bulleted list, it can't be an image anymore. Doesn't mean we can't add images, doesn't mean we can't add video, just the placeholders go away. To create another bullet, just like in Word, press Enter, creates another bullet, same type. Self-selected items. Now I'm ready to start another one, but if I want this to be a subset, I can either use the indent button up here on the toolbar, or what's even easier in my mind is Tab. If you press Tab, it indents. Unlike Microsoft Word, when you indent in Word, it changes the bullet style, so you go from 1 to A's to 1 parentheses. This just keeps the same bullet style. You can change the bullet styles after we're done. So let's say Fridays, I can't type today, comma, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Don't worry too much about spelling, etc. And then Saturdays, 7 a.m. to noon. Now I'm still indented. Notice the indentation level stays. If I want to unindent, I can again use the button up here. Or, like in, where was it? Probably Excel, Shift Tab to move backwards. So if you can't remember, these buttons always work just like they did in Word. Shift Tab, however, bumps you in. Tab bumps you in, Shift Tab bumps you back out. A couple more bullets, or have it delivered for an additional fee. One more bullet, October Community Celebration. Notice the other slides have bullets on them. You're welcome. I already typed them for you. Just didn't see use of typing lots and lots of bullets. And a homework assignment to give you lots and lots of practice, okay. But here I don't think we need it. Questions on bullets? Let's jump to slide number 5. Placing your orders already there. Change this to a numbered list, okay? So to make a numbered list, by default, I've got a regular bulleted list, just like Microsoft Word. Click. If you want, you can drop down the list and pick different numbering styles. Let's just stick with the default, which is 1 dot. Number 1, place online by Wednesday. Tab. Now I want to indent, once again, enter, and then tab. Notice how it renumbers, but it uses the same numbering style. In a little bit, I think we'll go change that. We can do that with either a credit card, or we can debit from checking. If you go too far, like I just did, just undo. Try it with the right command. There we go. Credit card and debit from checking account. Enter. I want to move backwards, Shift Tab, and then submit. Basically telling you how to use a website, I guess. To insert before, put your cursor at the beginning of the line. Can't get out to the numbers, just like in Microsoft Word. You can't select the numbers, but you can put your cursor at the beginning of the line, press enter, and when you click here, it should give me a new number 2, and as soon as I start typing, it'll adjust everybody else. Specify, specify. Pickup or delivery. While we're here, I probably might be getting ahead of myself. Let's change the credit card and the debit bullet styles for those to A's. Just select as much as you want. You have to have a little bit of each line to select those 2 lines, and then you can change the bullet style, and we can use the little A's with parentheses if you want. So by default, you just get 1s and bullets, but that doesn't mean you can't change them and have bullets with 1s underneath, or stars, or arrows, or whatever you want. Slide number 4. In the left-hand side over here, click to add text. But before we do, in this case, we want bulleted text, so it's got a little extra spacing because the bullets have extra spacing. But we can turn the bullets off completely, so you can just click, and then the bullet goes away. And let's type community. And then the next line, supported agriculture. That's what CSA is. Without the bullets. So different bullet styles, easy to do. Just use the buttons up here. Slide number 7. This already has part of the address. We still want to put in the city and state and a few other things. If you click at the end, click inside and then click at the end. If you press enter, notice there's a little bit of extra spacing there. It's kind of hard to see. Just watch up there, but notice there's extra space between. That's what PowerPoint does for bullets. If you don't want the extra space, but you want to start a new line, just like in Microsoft Word, if you want to start a new line without starting a new paragraph, without starting a new bulleted item, you just want to add a second line, you do Shift Enter. And you can already see that it's a lot closer. This place is located in Spartanburg, South Carolina, zip 29301. So for the address, you can press Shift Enter to keep everything nice and neat, nice and tight without the extra spacing in between. But now the authors want us to put in the email address with a little bit of extra space since it's not really part of the mailing address. So this is CSAinfo at, let's keep it simple, example.org. Just like Microsoft Word, just like Excel, if PowerPoint recognizes that that's a hyperlink, in this case an email address, it will mark it as such. This place also has a website, so www.valleyfallsinfo, or Valley Falls CSA, excuse me, .example.org. Again, this time just press a space. Because it recognizes it as a web address, it again makes a hyperlink for you. And those are live. Those aren't real email addresses. Those aren't live web addresses, but those would be live links. Now the book talks about, I don't want to be able to click on these. If you leave them in here, by the way, and then later on show the PowerPoint presentation, and we'll talk about how to do that. We show the PowerPoint presentation, and as the presentation's going, as long as you have an internet connection, you can click on those links and it'll launch the browser and go there. So that's very convenient. If you don't want it though, you just want it as a reference, you can remove the hyperlink, and the book shows you how to do it by right-clicking, but I want to show you one other way real quick. And that's by doing an undo. If you type this, it turns blue. If you undo immediately, it will remove the link. But you have to do it pretty quick. You can't do it a half hour later. Or for that matter, 5 seconds or 5 more characters later. As long as you've just pressed the space and the hyperlink just kicked in, you can remove it very quickly. The other way to do it, if you can't remember the undo, is to right-click. And here's a button, don't do it, for remove hyperlink. They want the email for some reason to stay there. Actually, go ahead and do it. Notice the same effect. So if you find out later, or you decide later that you want to remove a hyperlink, and this goes into any of those other programs as well, right-click, remove the hyperlink. Let's do a save. We've been kind of busy. We're still on slide 7. One of the other things we occasionally want to do is change the entire contents of this. We could highlight all the text and change the font size. Alternatively, if you select the entire text box, the box all the way around the outside, notice it's got a solid border. When you're inside, it's got a dotted border. If it's got a solid border, anything you do now affects the entire text box. So if I bump the font size up a couple of times, what do we want it to be? It doesn't say, so just make it bigger. So this button makes it bigger, that one makes it smaller. You already know about the font and the size. But by selecting the text box, it saves you from having to select individual items of text. However, if you want one line to be bigger than the other, then you have to highlight it just like Microsoft Word and change the appearance of that one. Let's shift to slide number 4. What they want us to do here is take the C in community, just the letter C, and make it a little bit bigger, because this is our explanation of that acronym CSA. So we want to make the letters that are part of the acronym stand out a little bit. So first thing we're going to do is make it bold. And a new feature that we have here under font that I don't think we had in Excel, Access, or Word is the shadow capability. What this does is just kind of add a shadow behind letters that you can't normally do, so it makes for nice titles that kind of pop out of the page a little bit. So let's add a shadow, and you can see that C looks a little bit thicker. Let's make it size 48. And now the shadow, once we move away, you can see the shadow a little bit better. But then select the C again and change it to kind of a darkish orange color for text. So the text is the same thing. If you click on the letter, it changes it to red, but I want this next to the last dark orange here. And when you're doing the project or the exam, I think I mentioned in the email, let me mention it here as well, that I recommend the project. I found it quite easy. Where the test was 50, 60 pages long, or not pages, but questions long, and all these little nitnoid things. There were some things that weren't covered in the project that were covered in the test. Once again, you can take both, and I'll take the lowest score out. Speaking of low scores and removable tests, remember that you still have the option to remove 3 of your test scores / projects. Remove them completely from the grade assignment. You can also remove one or three, pardon me, in-class case problems. I'll do that tonight for you if you want. Some of you already started on it, or we can wait till next week, see how you're doing, and pull the bottom three out of each and be done. That doesn't apply to the capstones. There is no capstone for PowerPoint, by the way. It's just one project, plus that extra credit coming next week. All right, so pick orange, got sidetracked. Now, if I want the S and the A to be the same, just like in Microsoft Word, I can use my trusty dusty format painter. But remember the format painter, if you click it once, you get to copy the format once. In this case, I want to copy it to the S and the A, so I'm going to double click it. If you double click the format painter, it sticks. Notice it's still on. I'm just highlighting the A, the S, and the A. It sticks until you press escape or do something else like type. I like to press escape to make it go away. We want that to be a little bit bigger according to my notes, so select the text box and hit the increase button 5 times. Should come pretty close to filling the box. And now we've created, without a whole lot of manipulation, took bullets off, modified the abbreviated letters, made it a little bigger, create a nice explanation of what that's all about. Save again, just in case things go nuts. Slide 5. Here I'm supposed to copy the word order from the title and paste it under submit. It's 5 letters. I think I would type it. But the point here is you can copy and paste. And not only that, but you can paste special. Remember from Microsoft Word, you can paste special so it doesn't keep its original formatting. It adopts the current formatting, or there's all kinds of options. So, what was that? Undo. What was I doing? That was slide number 5. Okay, so I'm going to double click on order, copy it to the clipboard with all the different techniques. You can come up here and copy. Where is it? Guess not. Oh, there it is. Copy. You can control C. You can right click, pick your favorite technique. Now it's on the clipboard. Like most Microsoft products, you have no clue it's on the clipboard, unlike Excel. And then after the word submit, I'm going to right click, because that's when I get all my paste options. Paste with the destination theme. That's probably what I want, so that it looks like the current text. Or I can keep the original formatting and make it bigger. I don't think so. Or I can paste a picture. No. Keep just the text. No. This is the best option. If I'd just done a regular paste, I would have gotten the same thing. So the point there was that you can do all the paste options. Slide number 2. We can cut and paste and move stuff around. I want to cut this entire last bullet. I'm going to use Control X. Pick up share once a week. And insert it after bullet 2 on line 3, or I'm sorry, on slide 3. So go to slide 3. Here's bullet number 2. Start a new line and paste. I'm just going to do Control V this time. I got an extra blank line. Take it back out. Just backspace it until the extra line goes away. Probably could have pasted that a little better so I didn't get the extra blank line, but that's okay. Now we're going to take a look at how to create smart art. So let's go to slide 5 again. And the boss has decided that this would look good in pictorial format. Remember, smart art is just text with pictures around it to kind of give you a flow or an organization or whatever you want to call it. Personally, I'm not a big fan of it, but it's part of the test, so let's get it in here. In PowerPoint, this gets done often enough, I guess, that there is actually a button on the Home tab under Paragraph to convert existing text to smart art. That's different than Insert Smart Art. If you go to Insert Smart Art, it will not take the existing text and make it your smart art. It will insert blank smart art. So that's different. If you want to convert text, you have to use Home, hint, 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 use Home and convert it from there, and then you get all kinds of choices. And you can hover on these and kind of get a live preview, what they're going to look like. And that's supposed to make everything much easier to read. And according to this, I want third row, first column, so that would be that one. Really? Oh, third row, first column. There we go. Vertical chevron. That doesn't look right either. Third row, first column, continuous process block. That one. Chevron. Where is it? Third row, first column. It could be because my screen's a different size that what I'm looking for, the continuous process block, if you can find it, let me know. That one maybe. There we go. The arrow in it. It's just in a different location because my screen size is different. When I was practicing this in my office, I have this nice wide screen, and so it was there. Yours is probably in the right spot. First column of the third row. No? Well, wherever it is, they are going to change positions, so you do have to look for these a little bit when you're in the book. The book tells you it's here. I wouldn't trust it. So that's what we want. Go ahead and click. And notice now, just like in Microsoft Word, we've got text over here. If we're going to get rid of stuff, we can get rid of stuff here. We can change colors, do all kinds of stuff. So what are we supposed to do to it? Remove the sub-bullets in the third shape. A couple ways. We could remove them from here. I kind of find this annoying. I'd much rather click over here and highlight them and take them out. One of the things to notice is when I do that, the auto size for the font changes every single one of the boxes. Initially, all three of these boxes have the same font size. Because there were sub-bullets in one, they all got smaller. Now that I got rid of the sub-bullets, everything's fine. Okay, before we take a break, the other thing we can do is manipulate slides. We can manipulate multiple slides, change the theme, do stuff to them, and this might get a little tricky on my laptop here, but to select multiple slides, you pick the first one, and then shift-click the last one, and just like in Microsoft Word and Excel and everywhere else, you get everything in between. If you use the Control key, you can take them out of the picture, or add another one in. In Excel, this is called a collection of cells. Here is called a collection of text, slides. And now anything I do, like print, is going to happen to those slides. Okay, so that's how I can select them. We'll learn how to move them around here in a little bit. Following my own instructions here, select just slide 4. If we want to, we can duplicate a slide. So let's do a new slide, but we have to drop that down and make a duplicate of this slide. I've done this once or twice where I want some kind of an overview at the beginning, and I want that same overview at the end to tell them what I talked about. So I'll duplicate it and then move it around, and that's kind of what we're going to do here. We don't really need this placeholder for the duplicate. To delete a placeholder, simply point to it, make sure you select the whole thing. Remember, that's with a dark border around the outside, solid border. And then you should be able to just hit the delete key and take it out. Yes, sir. Select slide 4, and then go up to new slide and drop it down. So we'll drop down arrow underneath, duplicate, right there. Okay, so in slide 5, we also took out a placeholder in case you don't need it. Want to move slide 3 before 2. The easiest way to do that, I think, is just use this slide sorter over here. Actually, there's a slide sorter view that we'll take a look at in a second. But I can move slide 3 before slide 2. Notice they move out of the way, make room, and you can put them wherever you want and rearrange these as often as you want. The book does a nice job, so does the test, so does the project, of saying move these, and on the new slide number 5 with this title, so you can always be sure you're on the right slide. If the slide number that you have doesn't have the same title they have, you moved something the wrong way. You might want to go back and see what happened. Now let's say change to slide sorter view. You can change views either by using the view button up here, but there's also all kinds of them to choose from down here. This is our normal view where we've got the slides on the side and then the picture of one slide at a time. In slide sorter view, we get them all. And here you can zoom in and out so you can see more. We've only got 9 slides, so I can zoom them in all kinds of different directions. And you can also move them from here. So if I wanted to, let's see, I'm supposed to move slide 4 between 1 and 2. The difference in slide sorter view, well, no, I guess not. They do. I don't remember them moving. But I move slide 4, drop it between 1 and 2. It's the new number 2. And then move slide 5, which is that one we just duplicated, and put it at the end. Just drag it out here at the end, and finally it'll make room, and everybody renumbers. So rearranging these is real easy. And so if you're typing, creating one of these slides, you go, oh man, I wish I'd put this in between there. You could put it in between, or you put it on the end, type what you want, and just drag these around whatever order you want them to be. Just as a demo, let's delete 6 and 8 at the same time, because they're blank, and I can see them both here. In slide sorter view, just like before in normal view, you can control click to select multiple slides, and then just press the delete key, and it blows slides away. Just as a demo, let's go back to normal view now. That's the first button down here. And go to slide 1. And underneath the subtitle, let's add a new line that includes your name. What I wanted to show you here is if you then slide over to the file backstage view, your name shows up as who ordered it last. Now my name shows up as who created it because you copied my Voker slide, but your name will be there as the last person to modify this. It doesn't happen in all the Office products. This one happens pretty quick. Not too difficult. So that's part 1. Let's take a break. We'll come back and do part 2. It should take even less time than that. Hopefully around 7:30 we'll be done and you can tackle the case problem for today. Be doing mostly the same kind of stuff. So let's take 10 minutes, come back somewhere around 5, 6 till.